This is Pokling 888, Telemetrading daily market research and data analysis. Here are the top 10 most active companies in the Philippine Stock Exchange in terms of volume. All-day Marts traded 39.58 million at a price of 62 cents per share. Followed by the Dito CME Holdings with 21.57 million at a price of 5.23 per share. Next, the Apex Mining with 20.46 million at a price of 1.72 per share. Next, the Frutas with 14.28 million at a price of 1.26. Next, the Metro Pacific Investment with 14.01 million at a price of 3.91 per share. Also from the biggest losers, the Solar Philippines Nueva Ecija traded 182.08 million at a price of 1 peso and 60 cents per share. Next, the Global Ferronickel with 19.20 million at a price of 2 pesos and 19 cents. Also, the DNL Industries with 14.8 million at a price of 8 pesos and 51 cents. Followed by the Monday Nissan with 12.02 million at a price of 16 pesos and 70 cents. And the Emperador with 4.44 million at a price of 19 pesos and 4 cents per share. And here are the top gainers, led by the ATN Holdings B with 29.87% gains. Next, the Medco with 14.04%. Next, the Oriental Petrol with total gains of 10%. Followed by the Geo Grace Resources, gained 8.15%. Next, the Rojas with 7.69%. Next, the ATN Holdings with total gains of 7.37%. Followed by the PhilWeb with 6.25%, the Empire East Land with 6% gains, the Coal Asia with 5.56%, and the A Soriano with total gains of 5.06%. And the biggest losers companies are the following: the Surpas with 10.53% losses, followed by the Easy Call Communications with 8.48%, followed by the Liberty Flour Mills with 7.26%. Next, the Bright Kindle with 4.07%, the Primex with 4.04%, the Manila Broadcasting Company with 3.92%, followed by the Nihao Mineral with 3.85%, the Ace Annexor with 3.60% losses, the Merimart lost 3.36%, and the Monday Nissan with losses of 3.13%. And this is the latest on Forex. For US dollar, the dollar index traded firmly above 95.2, while the offshore yuan traded firmly past 6.36 per US dollar. The Australian dollar weakened below 0.722 US dollar, while the Japanese yen eased towards 115 per US dollar, and the New Zealand dollar slipped further below 0.68 US dollar. And here are the updates on commodities. For gold price, the gold traded just below 1,820 US dollars an ounce, while the crude futures rose more than 1.5% to above 85.5 US dollars per barrel. And the Brent crude futures rose more than 1.5% to above 88 US dollars per barrel. And the US gasoline futures climbed above 2.4 US dollars per gallon. And these are the updates on stock market. In US, the US stock futures slipped on Tuesday as Treasury yields climbed higher while investors awaited a fresh batch of corporate earnings reports. Dow and S&P 500 futures fell 0.2% and 0.5% respectively, while Nasdaq 100 futures lost 1%. In New Zealand, the S&P or NZX 50 was little change on Tuesday. Shares of IGPS Group Limited gained 8.2%, and those of New Zealand Oil and Gas added 6.45%, amid declines in Marlin Global Limited with 5.79% and Greenfern Industries Limited with 4.65%. While in Australia, the S&P or ASX 200 index fell 0.11% to close at 7,409 on Tuesday, reversing gains from earlier in the session as equities came under pressure from rising global bond yields. Sentiment was also dented after Australian consumer confidence slid to its lowest since October 2020 amid the soaring COVID cases. Healthcare, consumer, and financial stocks led the declines, with losses from CSL Ltd 1.57%, Sonic Healthcare with 0.45%, Commonwealth Bank with 0.37% losses, Magellan Financial with 2.44%, and Red Bubble Ltd with 22.41% losses. On the virus front, Australia recorded its worst day in COVID deaths on Monday, with 74 fatalities, but new cases were seen declining. In United Kingdom, the FTSE 100 fell more than 0.5% on Tuesday, down from a two-year high reached in the previous session. Energy shares, however, rose as oil rallied to a more than 7-year high on concerns over potential supply disruptions. In Italy, the FTSE MIB index fell 1% to trade at the 27,410 level on Tuesday, pressured by the prospect of higher interest rates by the Federal Reserve and bond yields worldwide. Tech stocks traded more than 2% lower, led by ST Microelectronics with 2%. In China, the Shanghai Composite gained 0.8% to close at 3,570, while the Shenzhen Component rose 0.19% to 14,391 on Tuesday, a day after the Chinese central bank cut a key policy rate to cushion a slowing economy. Technology, industrial, and consumer staple stocks led the market higher, with notable gains from Beijing Igova with 2.27%, Quetzal Mutai with 1.65%, and Power Construction with 9.18%. In Japan, the Nikkei 225 index fell 0.27% to close at 28,257, while the broader topics index shed 0.42% to 1,978 on Tuesday, reversing early gains as equities came under pressure from rising global bond yields. Notable decliners include Mitsubishi UFJ with 1.62%, Sumitomo Mitsui 1.93%, Nippon Steel 7.08%, JFE Holdings with 6.78%, and Renesas Electronics with 1.43%. In South Africa, the FTSE or JSE All Share Index fell over 1% to around 74,645 on Tuesday, led by tech stocks as investors continued to worry about the Federal Reserve's interest rate hike timeline amid rising treasury yields, while the earnings season in Europe and the US is heating up. Conversely, shares in oil giant Sasol jumped almost 5%, benefiting from higher oil prices. In France, the CAC 40 index fell 1.3% to hover around 7,100 on Tuesday, erasing the 0.8% gain on the previous session as anticipation of tighter monetary policy in the US pushed global yields up and triggered a sell-off in equities. On the corporate front, expectations of tighter interest rates weighed on technology stocks with 1.8%, driven by ST Microelectronics with 2.1%, and Dassault Systems with 2%. At the same time, the spread of the Omicron variant in China pressured luxury goods shares downwards after yesterday's rally, as seen in Kering with 3.1% and LVMH with 2.3% losses. Lastly, Renault 2.2% and Stellantis with 1.7% losses, booked losses after data showed car registrations in Europe fell for the sixth consecutive month. In Europe, European equity markets fell around 1% on Tuesday. And these are the latest on bonds. In US, the benchmark US 10-year yield climbed to pre-pandemic highs above 1.8% this week on expectations of interest rate hikes in the US. While in Australia, the yield rose to November 2021 highs around 1.93% on Tuesday. And in Japan, it jumped back above 0.14%, tracking a steady rise in US yields as traders braced for a hawkish surprise from the Federal Reserve. While in the United Kingdom, the government bond continued to rise to 1.2%. In Italy, the 10-year government bond yield increased to an 18-month high of 1.398%, and in Netherlands, the bond yield increased to a 21-month high of 0.094%. And this is Emmy from Philippines reporting. Thank you very much.